Hello again, everyone. I am so very honored to see all of you here today for number 31. Sorry, 32. We're on 32. Man. I am still just asking that you all watch and share these on your feed. Let your friends, and your family, and your coworkers, let all of them see how beautiful all these moments are. You never know who is in need of being reminded that they matter. So this one is technically someone that I've already tagged, but there was another very big point that took place. Something that happened that this person, in order to do it right, I have to give her another video of her own. So, remember how I told you all that by the time I was halfway through my senior year, I was dealing with a lot of different turmoils already? Well, what I didn't tell you yet was that on top of dealing with all of the other ones, there was something else that happened that year too. The summer before senior year, I had actually turned 18. So I went into my senior year being legally an adult. And there came a point that I essentially ran away. I left from school one day and just didn't go home. The reasons why are far too complicated to try and explain in this video. But after I left, I went to stay with a friend and her family. And I was only with them for a few very short months. And this was during the beginning of the school year. And this girl was still only 16 at the time. And I was staying with her during the point in time that I found out that my second girlfriend was cheating on me with what had been my first girlfriend. It was fun. I had always known that this girl would have loved the chance to date me. And perhaps having known that, I probably shouldn't have agreed to stay with her when she offered. But I did. And her and I stayed in her room. And one night, we were watching Blade 3. And she started to get very touchy, very handsy. And I mostly just brushed it off and ignored her, not wanting to hurt her feelings by just flat out telling her no. So instead I tried to kind of just gently move away from her and put out all the body language signals that said that I was uncomfortable. But it didn't work. And when I tried to move away from her, she kind of ended up wrestling with me for a second. And she ended up on her back with me over top of her, and she had her legs wrapped around my torso, up around my ribcage. And she kept squeezing so hard that I couldn't breathe as I tried to get away. And at this point, I did ask her to stop. And all she said was, "Why?" and tried to kiss me. I tried to pull away, and she squeezed me again until I almost passed out. And at this point, I was starting to get scared. And she started trying to get her hand down into my pants. I thought about calling for help, since her parents were just in the other room. But I panicked. I was 18 and she was 16. And the view from anyone walking into the room would be that I had her pinned down, because technically I was on top. And I couldn't move. And I realized I also couldn't call for help. So I just began to cry. And for a second, a look of concern crossed over her face, as if she couldn't figure out why I was upset. She didn't let go of me, but she began to, gently wipe the tears from my cheeks and trying to kiss me and tell me everything's okay. And when I didn't respond and just kept crying, when I didn't kiss her back and just kept crying, she finally let me go. And at this point, she started saying how sorry she was for reading the signals wrong, and started talking about how much she hated herself and how worthless she was and how no one was ever going to want to be with her. And me, in the midst of dealing with what just happened, I'm trying to help her calm down. It wasn't even 2 days later, I ended up calling my mom. And I told her what happened. And she sent my dad to come get me and bring me home right fucking then. And upon getting home, I was so immersed in my depression and insomnia that I was bordering on what felt like psychotic. I couldn't sleep because I would relive that moment every time. So Mom had me bring my mattress out into the living room. And that's where I slept, so that she could save me from my nightmares, like when I was little. Going back to school from that point became a total fucking freak show. This girl went completely fucking psycho. She left a handwritten note in my locker saying that my rejection of her was so devastating that she was planning to kill herself. And that her blood was on my hands. And she had signed it in her own blood. Me and my parents brought it to the attention of the administration, where we were basically told that this girl has always had issues and we just try not to rile her up. So, I don't know if they did ever end up talking to her or to her parents, but in the weeks following, she would tell anyone who would listen how much of a whore I was. And several times she threatened to kill me in the hallways in front of everyone. We tried talking to her parents, and they basically claimed that she was the victim and that I was lucky that they hadn't pressed charges on me. It was horrible. She threatened to kill my friends and my family members. My nightmares went from reliving what did happen into those of blood and gore that could happen. I'd see this girl playing in my baby brother's entrails. Those type nightmares. And this went on for several months. The dreams didn't stop for several years. But you know what got me through it? Why I survived? Because my mom was there. She held me and fought for me and did anything and everything she could to help me. It didn't matter what we had fought over or why I had left, why I had run away. The moment I was in trouble, she brought me right back home. Right back to Mama. And she nurtured my wounds and helped see me through that terrible time. So, Mom, episode 32 is yours alone. I know you already knew that you had saved my life, and especially during this point. But I want to share it with the whole world, so that we can show them that even when the shittiest of things happen to us, because they're gonna, that they don't matter. The shitties don't matter. It's the people who love us that do matter. I am so far beyond honored. I have always said that I couldn't have handpicked a better mom if I had had the chance. And I mean it. Everything about who you are is valuable and important in this world. And I am so glad that you exist and keep waking up with all of us every day. I love you so very, very, very much. And you matter. You will always matter. Episode 32, Cami.